You know, so much of our digital life is built on platforms run by just a handful of massive tech companies. And that's super convenient, right up until it isn't. So what actually happens when you decide to pack up and leave? We're about to walk through the real, step-by-step journey of moving your digital creations from one of those giants to a platform that's actually driven by its own community. It seems like such a simple question, doesn't it? Is your code in the right home? But in a world where just a few big names dominate everything, the answer gets, well, it gets really complex. It's not just about which one has the coolest features. It's about control, it's about values, and it's about community. So we're going to follow one developer's quest to find out if there's a better place for their work. Okay, so the very idea of leaving a platform that holds all of your projects, it can feel just huge, right? You start imagining this massive undertaking just full of technical nightmares, broken links, lost history. It really feels like a digital exodus with no map to guide you. And that feeling, it's a huge barrier. The sheer size of the task, or what you think the size is, it creates this anxiety. And of course, that leads straight to procrastination. It just feels easier to stay put. But as we're about to see, how things feel isn't always how they actually are. So how do you even start with something that feels so daunting? Well, you do what you always do with big problems. You break it down. You turn that mountain into a series of much more manageable hills. And that's exactly what this is, a practical playbook that shows us how this journey unfolds across 5 clear, understandable steps. And here it is, the whole migration map laid out for us. It all starts with the core job, getting the repositories moved over. Then it's all about cleanup. You've got to update your links and leave a forwarding address so nobody gets lost. After that, you tackle the more complex stuff, porting your automation scripts and rehosting your website. This 5-step process is what turns that seemingly monumental task into a totally doable weekend project. All right, step 1, moving the repositories themselves. Think of these as the digital filing cabinets for all your projects. And here's the really cool part. Modern migration tools can import pretty much everything, and flawlessly too. We're not just talking about your code, we're talking the whole history, the bug reports, the pull requests, the wikis, the official releases. Nothing gets left behind. Now, steps 2 and 3 are really all about good housekeeping. First, you go through and update all the links inside your code. Then you deal with the old place, and this part is crucial. You archive the old projects and slap a very clear notice on them. It's basically like putting up a big digital "move to a new address" sign. Super important. Okay, now we're getting into let's say, the trickier stuff. Moving your continuous integration pipeline, or CI. That's the automated system that builds and tests your code. Kind of like a digital assembly line with a quality check. And this is not a simple copy and paste job. Not at all. In this case, the move actually uncovered a really deep philosophical difference between the old platform and the new one. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that difference. So unlike these giant platforms that might kind of encourage you to use more and more and then just send you the bill, this community-driven platform is explicitly asking its users to be mindful, to actually stop and consider the real financial and even environmental costs of the resources you're using. And this difference in philosophy, it has some really practical, real-world effects. Just look at this comparison between GitHub and the new platform Codeberg. On one hand, GitHub's runners come preloaded with tons of software, they're available on all the major operating systems, they're built for maximum convenience. On the other hand, Codeberg's runners are super minimal. They're Linux only, partly for cost, but also as a philosophical choice against proprietary OSs. It's designed to make you think about your resource usage. It's a huge shift from convenience first to resource aware. All right, so the last big technical hurdle was the developer's website. It used to be hosted on a service like GitHub Pages, but the new platform's own solution was actually down for maintenance, which meant, time for plan B, and fast. The solution turned out to be this independent tool called Git Pages. And honestly, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. It came with some seriously powerful features that actually went beyond what the original setup could do, like a totally zero downtime migration and proper server-side redirects to permanently fix all those old broken links. Okay, so after all that, navigating the steps, wrestling with the CI, finding a new home for the website, what's the final verdict? Was this whole digital exodus a success? Let's take a look at the numbers.
So first, let's talk scale. We're talking about a total of 45 individual projects, all their code, all their docs, all their history, packed up and moved from a corporate platform to a new home run by the community. And how long did all this take?
One weekend. That's it. And that's the number that just completely transforms that initial daunting feeling into a real, tangible, and honestly, a surprisingly quick achievement. So, was it worth it? I mean, the technical side of things was a huge success, but it's not that simple. There were definitely clear trade-offs. On one hand, you get full digital independence and you get to align with the community's values. But the flip side is you lose the massive discoverability that comes with a giant platform, which could mean fewer new contributors finding your work down the road. And this really brings us to the most important lesson in this whole story. A migration like this, it's not just possible, it is totally manageable. The tools are there, the path is pretty clear. The biggest barrier, as it turns out, isn't the technology at all. It's the psychology. It's about getting over that initial anxiety and the fear of the unknown. And all of this really leaves us with one final big question. An experience like this pushes us to think beyond just what's convenient and to think more about purpose and principles. It challenges creators. It challenges all of us to ask a pretty fundamental question. If you are building things for the community, where should your foundation truly be?